Good morning, kids. It's always a fun time on a Sunday afternoon live stream. I know it's not Sunday afternoon for everyone, but it is for me. Just had a whole slew of tree work done at my house. So I have a lot of weekend work to do in the yard now. I have a bunch of oak trees and we had a bunch of it cut down. What we got here? Oh, hey Barry, you finally got your notification. Welcome. Radios, we'll see you in 25 minutes. I'm marking, hold on. Marked. Hey Mike, under 100, yeah. Let me see, right now it's 2 p.m. in Florida. We're cold today. There must be a cold front because it's only 91 right now here, although the humidity is about 80%. Hey Jeffrey, good afternoon, my good sir. Ramiro, good afternoon. And there's Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. Missed out on 7 cameras, including 2 Bolex. How dare you, Bonnie? You're my go-to for finding great deals there in Sweden. You got your secret auction spot. You're not allowed to miss out on good deals. Hey, Dave. Yeah, yeah, it's a beast today. Ooh, my wife made me this coaster a long time ago. Pretty cool, huh? I've been using this pretty much, I think, ever since I started my channel. Yeah, Mega Cup almost doesn't want to fit on the coaster. Hey, Nicholas. Well, you're looking forward to another stream. Maybe not great. We'll see. I do have an announcement. It's nothing spectacular, but I just want to talk about something for a minute. Jeffrey just picked up a near mint Keystone Capri K24. Came with a beautiful leather case too. I like Keystones. Now I'm not familiar with the K24. Oh. 888, 16 millimeter. 888, I'm guessing, but I guess I could absolutely be wrong on that one, Jeffrey. So one thing, there's a few people in here now, so I just want to say, yeah, we got a few, so I'll give it a minute. Like I say, oh, 888, okay, that's what I figured, yeah. I love Keystone cameras. I have one, I think. It's pretty sad that I can't remember if I have one. I think I have one. I have had them. Real reliable, kind of like Bolex when you get into the crank cameras like that. Very reliable. Okay, Filmboy24's first annual 8mm / Super 8mm short horror film festival is probably going to be postponed. There, I said it. I'm not happy about it. It's not something I really wanted to do. But I got to tell you, I'm working my tail off. And everything's getting in the way, and it's very difficult to plan. And I wanted it to be super simple anyway, and it will be super simple, but I'm building a website and I'm still working on that. I'm about halfway done, and that's where I want to host the films, but I just don't, I want it to be right, so we're probably going to postpone the film festival. I'm still very, very much into it. I'm going to keep everything in place as is. The horror / sci-fi fantasy, 5-minute time limit, all of that's still going to be in place. And I know I set initially a deadline to submit the films October 1st, but I'm going to push that, and I don't have a date for you yet. I just want to make sure everything's right before we do it. So I still want everybody to be excited about it. Everything's exactly the same, except we're pushing it, and I don't know when yet. Postpone is okay with me. I have way too much happening as well. Yeah, I got 2 kids, and school is starting in a week here, and getting ready for that. And like I say, we're getting a bunch of stuff done to the house, and I'm doing a bunch of processing and stuff for people, and it's been really busy. So, you know, just trying to keep up with regular life is hard enough, but add everything else on top of it. The young lady that addresses my long hair issues at times, that's been cutting my hair for 35 years now, I'm working on a project with her for her salon, and so there's a lot going on with me right now. So it's got to be postponed. With that, stay tuned for more stay tuned updates to stay tuned about. So tune in for more updates on the film festival. Yes, Mike. Yes. And I was talking to my wife about it too, and she says, "Well, don't cancel it, just move it." So, you're right. I want it to be right. I don't want it, and like I say, it's going to be just an easy 5-minute film, but everybody wants to do the best they can. So, with that, I want to get. There's a lot of things to get in place. Exactly how to host them, how to judge them. What to give away as a nice little prize or an award or some recognition or something like that. You know, I want it to all be right. And in 2 months before the deadline, and I'm not really even that close to having it right yet. So let's just wait. Yeah, thank you, Jeffrey. You remember when you had hair, Mike? My youngest is like, "Dad, why are you balding on top a little bit?" Yep, I know. It's rough. Although I will say my dad is 22 years older than me to the day, same birthday, and he still has a pretty full head of hair. So, and my wife's lucky too. Her dad, who is roughly the same age as mine, his hair is really way more full than mine. Hey, there's Manny. How are you, my friend? Hey, Manny, I just watched your latest video. I know it's like a week old or 5 days old, but really cool. If you guys are interested in learning how to take the sides off of a Canon 514 XLS, because as we all know, and Manny kind of explains in the video, most of them don't work. I think the one he has doesn't work. They're very difficult to repair from what I understand. I have 3 of them and none of them work. So take a peek at their T.O. Manny's World. Look at his latest video. He actually takes it apart. So when you hold it up, it looks like the Terminator on both sides. Well, when his face gets cut off. Of course, Manny. So there's one other thing I want to tell you guys. This is a roll of film. I mean, we all know what 16mm film looks like. And I like old expired film, as you know. I like to process it. I like to shoot it. I like found old film. And this is dated. I showed this a while back. I know it's hard to see, but that says October 1951 for process before. So somewhere in 1950, this was probably manufactured. Well, I bought this a long time ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, with some other films. And I didn't notice until recently that the box was open. So I took it out in the dark room, and it's in this, if you guys remember, they used to use foil years and years ago in some of their films. But it was in foil, and it's in a round can. Now I'm not going to open it, but the film was in there. I took it in the dark room, and I pulled some of it out, and it had the fishtail, and I'm like, oh, well, that's going to be exposed already. Cool. We'll have a neat found film, 16mm. I love 16mm, especially when it's a found film. So I closed it back up, and a couple days ago I got around to finally doing a quick test. And I don't have to strip test this because I already know how to develop super XX negative from this old. I know the times and temps that work for me, but I didn't want to develop the whole 100 feet because what if it's not actually exposed? And I did that the other day. I thought I had an exposed roll of Tri-X, and I developed the whole thing, and it's completely blank. So I just did a little strip, about 3 feet. And I used my Patterson tank that I converted into, one of the reels converted into 16mm. And lo and behold, this was the little strip I cut off the end. Let me show you guys something. I want you to read that. 16mm, 100 feet. Who's the first one that can tell me what's wrong with this picture? Come on. This is the strip that and I'm not talking about the fact that there's no images or you're not able to see them now because it's too dark. Can anybody tell me What's wrong with that picture? Weird. I mean, we're talking about 65 years ago. Hey Cecil, how are you, my friend? Thank you for popping in. Enjoy your vacation. Is it the vacation you and I talked about you were taking? Emailed? No, Mike. It is blank, but that's not what I mean. I'll have another breakdown coming out of the Bolex 150. Oh, that'd be awesome. I have my Bolex 150 right there, Bonnie. Might save up some money and get a Lomo 100-foot developing tank. That would be a really good investment, Bonnie. I have two of them, and I kind of ruined one. I can fix it, but I used one not long ago to do, what did I just develop? Oh, another roll of 16 millimeter found film. No, I will tell you, no one's answering the question. If you look closely, that's 88. You see the perfs? Oh, there it is. Barry knew. Barry, you knew. No, it's actually 88 because you can tell by the perfs. The perfs are more, what do you call it? They intrude more into the frame. They're more square, I guess you would say, or rectangle. I don't know, but definitely it's 88. Well, it's 88 because there is an edge coat on this that I found, and it is from 1950. That's what's so strange. And they obviously didn't have double Super 8 in 1950. But what's weird is unless, well, they did one of two things. Either the box just doesn't match, which I find hard to believe because this has an edge coat of 1950 on it, which would make sense. Or they took it out of their 88 camera and were loading up a 16 millimeter camera with this film and threw it into this, kind of like, you know, when you play a DVD. Yeah, remember those round things? And you take one out of the player, put it in the case of the DVD you're putting in, and, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know, kind of a mystery, but nothing came of it, of the film, so it's not apparently found film. So I will probably shoot this one of these years. I know I went on forever about that for no reason. Mike, I have a couple of Bolex 150 series cameras to fix. Looking forward to the videos. Yeah, I don't know, Manny. It seems like they just swapped it out. Probably. I mean, it's clearly not 16 millimeter. I know that for a fact. Although you could shoot this in a 16 millimeter camera because every other perf is the same as every perf of 16 millimeter film. So I don't know. Very confusing. And I get very easily confused. You guys know that. I'm going to put it right there for now. There's Rich. Is it not double perf 16? Well, it is double perf because there's perfs on both sides, Rich. Double perf simply means perfs on both edges. But it's the perfs are too close together. That's definitely not a 16 millimeter perforation. And I'm looking because I have so much 16 millimeter film laying around. Don't worry, I didn't leave. See? Case in point. This is single perf, by the way. That's single perf. 16. Can you guys see the perfs are, you guys all know this. The perfs are on one edge. But look at the spacing. See the difference? You guys can see that against my face. Anyway, you guys know what that is. I'll throw that over there. So what I'd like to discuss today is writer's block, shooter's block. Now this really applies to, well, it applies to really most artistry. A lot of cases it applies to still film because I follow a lot of still photographers on Instagram and whatnot. And they touch on it, and it absolutely applies to people like me and all of you that enjoy cinefilm shooting, because it happens to everyone. Absolutely happens to everyone. Happens to me all the time. And there's a bunch of reasons why it could happen, and it's just simply brain farts. I mean, you can sort of drift off into uncertainty or times where you feel like you've just run out of ideas or run out of things to document. Now, me personally, happens to me, but I always have fun documenting my family, and I know a lot of you are the same way. Hopefully I never run out of that passion to film my kids, or even when they get older and having fun and whatever. Might be creepy if I, do it when they're a lot older, but it'll never be creepy. But I think the most important thing is to just take a step back. And this is mainly, I asked my wife about this yesterday. I'm like, I want to talk about this issue, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm qualified to get into too many details, not because I don't run out of ideas, because I absolutely do, but because what do I do about running out of ideas? Well, what I do is probably going to be different from what everybody else does. And she says, well, that's okay. Just think about it as sort of an open discussion. And what better place to do it than on a live stream? And that's exactly what this is. It's sort of an open discussion about some ideas, or not ideas, not like, well, you should go, film the bowling lane, or it's about what do you do to get out of that shooter's funk, And I can tell you kind of where I'm at in that space, but I also would love to get ideas and find out where you guys are on it. I didn't think you could run double eight. You can, Mike. I've done it. Should have that in a couple weeks. Oh, good, Manny. Fun fact, someone had a Filmo on board the Hindenburg, filmed the explosion, threw out the camera while it was still filming, and both the camera and film survived, and the film was later developed. I have never seen that, Bonnie. Is it online somewhere? I would hope. Manny, that's really interesting, by the way, Bonnie. Everyone's probably seen the footage from the ground, which is devastating, but I never knew that somebody was using a Filmo. I get caught up with what to shoot with. I know, I do too, Manny. I do all the time. Hey, Steven. So far, I just know there will be 2 pencils in my film. That's my Were you here, Steven, when I was talking about the postponement of the film festival? Hey, Scorpio. Well, thank you for stopping by. I truly appreciate it. What type of film? What cameras? Yes, Manny. There's so many ways to get lost. But I also think that might help, because there's so many different avenues that, it's like a lottery number. There's so many combinations that, maybe we're just making excuses. I just don't feel like going out and shooting today, or I don't know, maybe there is millions of combinations of cameras, shooting speeds, film stocks, locations. There's I don't know that you could ever repeat it. I don't. Saw a video on a few years ago, but can't find it anymore. Might have been deleted, but I remember there was a frame of light from it. It would be so awesome to see. I don't think it was as the first I've heard about. Yeah, okay, so Steven, you weren't here. It was early on. It was like in the first 5 minutes. The film festival is still on. So, exhale. But it will be postponed. I've been super busy and I just haven't had time. I mean, we're talking about less than 2 months before the deadline to enter, and it's just not ready, and I want it to be done right. So everything so far is still going to remain the same. The festival is not off. It's just going to be delayed. That's all. I will let everybody know when it's moving back forward again. I want to get my website done, and so we can host them. And like I said, I want to find the best way to figure out a judging system, and I just want it to be done right. So we're going to wait. I think it was owned by some famous actor from the UK, but can't remember who or if he survived. Well, we're going to have to do some research on that then, aren't we? So, you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And believe me, I can attest to that simply from, I mean, we can all attest from everyday life. I mean, nobody really enjoys their job, or, you know, doing the same mundane tasks day in and day out. So it's fun when you get to do something you enjoy, like take a film camera out and have fun. But that also can become mundane if you let it, because it's the same. I live in this little town, and I've seen everything in this town. I've documented most of everything in this town. I have my favorite spots where I like to go shoot. But those favorite spots then eventually become, well, we're going to go back there again, you know, and try to get this from this side, or we're going to try to get an overhead. It becomes sort of trying on you a little bit. It does tend to get you down a bit. But there are things you can do. There are things you can do. Nicholas says, I shoot different eras of cameras, so we'll swap between early 30s cameras and later cameras. You have to shoot them differently. We'll do that until I get my mojo back. That is what I like to hear. That's a great suggestion, Nick. Well, it's a great thing that you do. Early 30s. Whew. Can you believe we're almost 100 years from there? Radios. Oh, it's 225. You're back. You ordered some Kodak 50D for my 1218. That is awesome. Definitely, in my opinion, the best Super 8 film ever made. The famous footage was shot by Wichita, Kansas photographer. Imagine that, Mike. What did I miss due to Target giving me weird hours? Yeah, radios, you didn't miss much. We're just chit-chatting about Shooter's Block. You missed, I don't know, that we are postponing the film festival by a little bit. I don't know exactly how long yet, but it's still on. We're just postponing it. It does help, I think, if one of the film camera's idea, like to go back, helps me get excited about the camera again. I think of its capabilities, how I can shoot, and how I should use it. Yes. You know, you learn every single time you do something. I look at something, I don't recommend you do it, but I look at some of my old videos from almost 3 years ago now, and there are so many of them that should be revisited because you just keep learning. I didn't even render my videos right, you know, even just as soon as early as a year ago. I really wasn't rendering my film properly. I was way under rendering it, and the bit rate was way too low, and I'm getting so many artifacts, and so there's so many things you can. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Always look back on what you did a year or two ago, or however long ago, and revisit some of that too. I mean, it gets tiring. I don't know if you're a landscape shooter, if you like to film cars, if you like to film people, if you buildings, whatever it is you like to film, eventually that will become, if that's all you do, that will become monotonous or mundane to you. You'll get that feeling of, well, I've shot every building there is in downtown Orlando now, so what do I do now? And well, you got to figure out. There's not, if you like to film buildings, there's more to it than just shooting a skyline, you know, or standing underneath a huge skyscraper and catching the corner of it against the sun. There's windows to that building. There's shadows that are cast from that building. There's bricks, individual bricks. There might be writing on the walls. There's so many interesting little trinkets or tidbits of information within what you enjoy, and that's what I always try to look for especially when I shoot still film. I always stand back and I look at something and I say, what would a person do if they walked up to this spot right here? What would they shoot? And I make sure I don't do that. because I'm not that person. I don't want to be the person that walks up to a subject and does probably what everybody else would do, especially like with their phones or whatnot. You have to figure out what to do, what your style, what you enjoy, and you have to pluck it out of the ordinary. I know that sounds weird, but if you're a walker upper and take a video of something that everyone else would do, well, that becomes your style. You guys, but I got a big job with my Bolex. Well, that's awesome. You also think of different ways of shooting and how. Yeah, that's a great idea, Manny. I belong to a photography Discord group. We have monthly themes, forces you to get out and sometimes make. Oh yeah, see, that's Jeffrey. That's awesome. That's a great idea. Dave mentioned that. He said when you do your film fest, Dave Knopp, he said when you do your film festival, he sent me an email and he said maybe theme it, or build it around something, which was a great idea. And I feel like that is. I feel like that is. I mean, if it's a different theme every time, there's a challenge. That's almost like a shooter's challenge, and I like that a lot. Beyond the Bolex, I have not seen that yet, but I want to. I think that was the granddaughter of the guy that designed the Bolex, right? That made that documentary, Radios. Still need to watch that. I don't care if it's a negative. Only one who has a proper projector. Everyone else wants a digital scan. Yeah, I have a 16 millimeter projector. But I messed it up. I have an Ikai, and I took the bulb out of it. I actually cut the bulb out of it because I was replacing it with a 12 volt LED, and I was going to try to make a transfer projector out of it, and it started popping. And when I plugged it in, and I don't know, but I still have it. I might revisit it one of these days. I love projecting film. There's no better way to see it. I shift in and out of macro filming with extension tubes and standard filming. Has anybody ever used the macro tubes that came with, or comes with, some of the K3 cameras? I actually planned on doing a video, I have it written down somewhere, of messing around with the macro tubes on the K3. They get a lot of them, and messing and trying to get some good close-up stuff. But I'd be curious if anybody else has used them. That's a good idea. Time lapse is a good idea. Do 2 or 3 different set it and forget it sort of time lapse shots. I love doing time lapse. I gotta do some more of that. See, that's another thing I need to revisit, because a year or two ago I did the classic time lapse of the sky, the clouds or whatever, and I didn't render it right, and I did it in manual exposure, and I messed it up. I did the sunset and it just got all messed up. I did post the video, but that's another thing I want to revisit. So if you develop as a negative film, fine. Bosley, that's right. Bosley family. I also try to view things as shapes and lines for compositions and try to ignore subject matter. That's brilliant, actually, Mike. I do exactly the same thing, because a crooked horizon will always just look that way. It'll just look like a crooked horizon. I found that going out filming with someone else and seeing how and what angles they shoot can help unlock filming block. Unlock filming block. Wow. Dave's a sharp dude, man. Yes, I don't see him on here, but my buddy Travis, I've gone out and filmed a couple times with him, and we had a good time. And that's great advice too. Grab someone and take them with you. Bosley made still cameras too. Yeah, they did. Imagine if Bolex or Pilard made an optical sound accessory. Yeah. I don't know that Bolex never did that, did they? I don't guess. No. I've not used tubes on a K3. Interesting. I have the Bolex tubes and others. Yeah, I don't know, they're put away, but I have the set. I think there's 3. I don't know the sizes. 150 and 25 millimeter or something. The lengths. Can I send you the 50D since it's a negative film? Are you speaking to me, radios? Yeah, you can send me 50D. I can take care of that. So some of the things that I would highly recommend, and these are things that I used to be an exercise fanatic. I know it may not look it now, but we have a treadmill and I used to be on it every night. Because, you know, we only have so much time. Let's try to get the most out of it. But I always found that it sort of unlocks your mind. Exercise, it frees you a little bit, and it gets you kind of resets you. You know, I'd get done for an hour, and I'd come in, and I would, you know, eat a little grilled chicken or, you know, something, and just you instantly want to do right. It changes your mindset. And I think I have tinnitus really bad, where there's a ringing of the ears, really, really severe. But exercise has always been one of those things that's sort of a natural healer. And like I say, it sort of just recharges you and gives you, you know, a fresh perspective on a lot of things. I'd miss a couple nights and I would just kind of sit around and I'd eat a little bit of, you know, some chips or something. It just, you know what I mean? You get into a certain mindset when you do certain things. And there are other things that do that, whether you meditate or, I mean, you know, going for a jog or lifting weights or, you know, doing your favorite, go golfing or something like that. But exercise is definitely one of those things that I truly believe in, and I feel like, and eating healthy, you know, it can help you. It helps. I just feel like it helps you understand more about what it is you really want. I know I'm getting a little philosophical, but sometimes you have to. Blockbuster ideas. Oh, yeah, thanks, Mike. They are great ideas from everybody. Yes, Mike. Yeah, well, send it over. Send me an email. Well, you did, and I thought I responded. All the film for my project is ordered. Yes. Hey, Dustin, how are you? Thank you for jumping in. What are the black lines on the reflex shutter on the Airflex 16 series? Black lines on the... Oh, the TV safe area? Are you talking about... Wait, on the shutter. The black lines... Okay, let me think. What are the black lines on the reflex shutter? Do you mean when you look through? Do you mean the inside the viewfinder, or do you mean actually? I'm not sure what you mean. I know when you look through my Airflex 16S, sometimes you have to turn the motor manually to get the shutter blade out of the way. But I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about, Dustin. Maybe you're talking about the TV safe area inside the viewfinder, the lines. Not sure. I got my first roll of 127 film from Ashika 44. Awesome. 127. The mirror part of the shutter I've seen have black lines on the... Yes, well, that's the... I'm guessing you mean the ground glass, which is... I don't know if I'm thinking you mean the ground glass, Dustin? And that would be the TV safe area. That's what I'm thinking. Other than that, I'm not sure. Which Airflex do you have? You have the 16S? I wrote on here, find a subject within the subject. And that's kind of what I talked about a little bit earlier, about the building and then the brick and then the mortar on the brick, or the shadow that it casts, or the person that's walking by the brick at the time that you're there. There's always something you can find within your favorite subject. Excited and nervous for the 20th. Oh, is that your shoot? That's your family shoot, right? Better get it right. I think the most important thing, at least that I've learned, and it took me a while, and it has a lot to do with my YouTube channel as well, because you can get, I don't know what you call it, but you can get YouTube block as well, where I want to do the right thing on YouTube. I want to make the videos that I want to make, and I want to also make videos that I think people may want to see. So, but sometimes there's a fine line between what do I really want to do and what do I think people want to see. And usually what I really want to do, I lean more that direction. However, it doesn't hurt to just take a step back sometimes. I mean, you guys know I've gone, probably the extreme has been about 2 weeks between videos. And I do the same thing with filming because I'm just not there and I just want to take a little breather. And I think that's probably one of the most important things you can do is just, it's okay to take a break. I mean, just go to the beach, go to the mountains, go to the woods, go to your favorite resting spot and just be peaceful. Sometimes I'll go in the backyard on our little Adirondack chairs back there and just sort of kick back, cup of coffee and look up, just sit and enjoy. And that can be your exercise as well, even though it's just sitting. And that kind of resets you and recharges you and just want to clear your mind. There's no shame in taking a break at all. Maybe the one I saw was different. The part of the mirror that reflects into the viewfinder, yes, has a black line on each part of the mirrored surface. Okay, so you do mean a mirror that reflects part of the image back into the viewfinder. It's funny, I don't know that I've ever actually looked at the mirror, Dustin. So I don't know. I don't know what they are, but now that you mention, I have film in my Airflex right now where I would open it and look, but I do not know what that is for. Maybe it has something to do with alleviating flicker? That's a very good question. By the way, how's the weather over in the U.S.? Here in Sweden it is raining, and the expert said that it would be hotter than back in 2018. Bonnie, in the U.S. here in Florida is weird. I can't really speak for the U.S., but with Florida, I know we're in the U.S., but we're a little wonky weather-wise. It's hot, but there's places that are hotter right now. The problem here is it's extremely humid. So I have to go out if I'm going to shoot. Like when I did the 20 cameras, I had to put them all on my back porch for about 2 or 3 hours before I actually used them so that the condensation would go away. They instantly fog up. The glasses, everything. When you walk outside, it's the humidity. It's 90 degrees here right now in Central Florida. Steven says, trying to make more happen in frame rather than moving the camera around, and could an option like they did in the old days, like in the Chaplin films. That's smart. The less you can move the camera, the better off you are, because you will, of course, get that weird, we even get it on our phones, that weird flickery side-to-side movement. Hey, Russell. Hi, all. Better late than never. Yes, you are late. No excuses. There's lots of excuses. Manny, same here, Mike. Sometimes I bought off more by wearing shoe, trying to keep interesting for yeah. Yeah, believe me, I absolutely know that feeling, Manny. I get busy, I get a lot of emails, people wanting me to do certain things, and so I get busy with, other things, and like I say, I have a family and I have responsibilities here, and I have a YouTube channel that I like to try to post at least once a week, and so yeah, I always bite off more than I can chew. I'm doing a project for my hairdresser that I know real well, and that's going to be a pretty good little project that we're working on, and yeah, believe me, I know it's never a bad thing to just take a deep breath. New world motion rather than camera motion. Yes, definitely, Mike. Flicker or something like that was my guess. That would be my guess, Dustin, without actually opening and looking, and maybe I actually have a manual. I'm not positive it would say on the manual though. That's a great question though. Now you really got me wondering. Muggy Radios. I think Radios. I think you're in. Are you in Australia? I'm pretty sure you're in Australia. Jeffrey, I shoot digital video, sometimes film. What I find enjoy using vintage lenses on cameras. My new fun is taking a digital camera with a vintage, oh yeah, with an 8mm film lens. That would be awesome. I love shooting digital too. I do it for quick stuff, you know. I shoot on my phone. I probably got, I don't know, I got thousands of videos from my phone. Everybody does. There's no shame. Digital isn't going anywhere. But it's hard to go anywhere without a film camera. We all know that. Any suggestions on what Arri 16 to buy just for personal shooting? Well, Dustin, a lot of that depends on your budget. Obviously, I would love to have, you know, an Arri 416 or something like that, but I don't have, you know, 100,000 to spend on it. As far as real world Arriflex, you can get an early SR for 3,000 or 4,000, 5,000 maybe, or you could go the route I did because I didn't have that to spend. Excuse me, I got hiccups. And go Arri 16S. I have a newer serialed Arri 16ST. The S and the ST are the same camera, by the way. And I love it. It's loud, but I do have a crystal motor for it that shoots crystal controlled at 24 frames per second, but it's too loud for, you know, indoor sync sound work. But I do have a CP16 by Cinema Products, which is very quiet and crystal controlled and cheaper than the Arriflex. But you have to use the magazine with that. So I would say an Arri S, or if you want to just use magazines and you want Arriflex, you can do Arri M. Or if you want to do sync work, you can go Arri 16 BL, which is pretty bulky. It is exterior or 400-foot loads only. I think you may have a 200-foot mag, but you can't load 100-foot loads inside the camera. The BLs you can get, I'd like to have a BL because they're really quiet. They're self-blimped, but you're kind of stuck with the one lens. But you can pick those up usually for around $2,500, something like that. You can get a good, well-equipped Arri S for about $3,000, and that's with lenses and everything. Radio is finally less hot over here in Nebraska. Australia. Oh, you're in Nebraska. Why was I thinking Australia? I don't know. Oh, wow. Australia. It is the same as Nebraska. Well, okay, Manny says, well, I just took a super long break, feeling pretty jazzed up. See there? Sometimes that's all you need, Manny, is a break to get pumped back up again. Missed out on an Arriflex 35mm with 2 magazines for Bonnie, what is the matter with you? I can't say anything. I missed out on an Arri SR2 for about $1,500. Now, that was about, I don't know, 8 years ago when they were selling for that. Can you imagine picking up an SR2, SR3, or an Aton NTR, or not NT, yeah, NTR, right? No, that's Eclair, NPR, I don't know. An Aton, you could pick those up for less than $2,000 about 8-9 years ago. Now you can't touch them for 8,000 or 9,000. Bonnie, I know, God. I'm lucky enough to have access to an SR2 at work, and it's pretty much silent. But yes, 400-foot floats. Yeah, Russell, those are nice cameras. One of these days. Filmboy Rock. Hey, there's Jake. Hey, buddy. I don't know about rocks, but I'm here. It's good to see you, bud. Dustin, awesome. Thanks for the suggestion. Of course, Dustin. You can't go wrong with the Arri 16S. They're pretty much tanks. Wonderful cameras. I'm on my second one now, but my first one I had about 25 years ago, and sadly never shot any film with it. My current one I've shot lots of film with, and I love it. Rock steady. They're pin registered, so there's a little. It's funny. There's a pull down claw and pin registered, but they actually work opposite of their name. It's actually a pull down pin and a registration claw. Registration pin just holds the film in place as you expose each frame. I beg mom and dad, yeah, old radios just north of me in Nebraska. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are all in that little region. I want to get out there one of these days. I've been as far west, well, I've been to California and Utah. I went to this Sundance Film Festival, but real middle America, I mean Missouri, I've been to Missouri, but I've never really been to that belt there that I'd like to get into. North of me, okay, so I'm seeing some new names today. I know, it's awesome, Mike. Okay, where are we at now? Ooh, come on, Michael. I wrote notes. Oh, you know what else is a good thing to do? Cameras are you packing on your next road trip? You know, we just took a little road trip, and I only took 2 cameras, and I only did it because I always overtake. But I don't know. We're not planning a road trip anytime real soon because the kids are going back to school next week. But I'm sure I'll overpack again. Of course, I'll take my little K3 Super 16. When I went to Indiana in March, I took my Arri S, my 514 XL, my F3 Nikon still camera, my XM, Olympus XM, little pocket still cam, and may have taken my yes, I took my K3, my Super 16 K3. That's kind of my little go-to kit, you know. It's got a couple that are real easy. That, you know, I can put the O in or the E. Settle down. The Olympus, I can XM, put that in my pocket if I'm just running outside or something. Yeah, that's my go-to kit. Come play disc golf here. Yeah, disc golf. They are Dustin. I mean I love the look of the Arri S. I love the fact that it can take 100-foot internal loads. You just snap the little cover on top to cover the magazine port, and you don't need the magazine. They're relatively lightweight. They're kind of heavy, but they're relatively lightweight for what they are, and they're rock steady. They're very reliable. I make my own battery packs for mine. One thing you really want to do if you do pick up an S is make sure it comes with a power cord. They're nearly impossible to find. Impossible. I used to dread back to school. Yeah, I do. I got quite a ways to go with back to school. I got one going in 2nd and one going in 8th grade. I was going to say, one thing I think is fun, and I'm going to probably take my own advice on this, if you get hung up on what to shoot, once you've had your little meditation session or you've run your quarter mile in less than a minute and you've cleared your mind, you might want to start thinking about your movie or your short film or your idea that you would like to shoot or your narrative project, and maybe have a little fun doing some fun practice scenes with it. I have a daughter that is almost 14 that is showing a lot of interest in acting lately, and I don't know, I think shooting some mock scenes to a narrative project, they don't have to be the actual scenes to the project, but sort of some mock-up scenes is a good way to sort of bring those creative juices back, you know. I've also gotten a lot of tips and sort of techniques from people that I enjoy following on YouTube and Instagram. There's a couple people that come to mind that, in my opinion, are some of the best as far as just fun to watch. Still photographers, film photographers, and some digital. Matt Day. I know some of you know who Matt Day is. I don't know him personally. He lives in Ohio. But he has a great channel, and he's very well spoken and calming, and you know, has a great little family, and takes, very similar to me, just takes photographs of what he loves, and he takes lots of pictures of his pet his children, his wife, his town, um, and he's done some videos on Shooter's Block, or when you get stuck, and it's a fun watch. And there's another guy, his name is Kyle McDougall, and he's very similar. He I believe lives in Canada, and another one that is just, it's just, I'm not the kind of guy, I'm not starstruck, I don't get awed by people usually. I'm just not that guy, but there are times where you look at somebody and you say, they got it together, they actually know, they know what it's like. And those two names come to mind. They're both on YouTube. If you don't follow them, you should check them out. But Matt Day and Kyle McDougall, they both have that way about them that is just very inviting, very humble, and I don't know. You can learn a lot from people like that, I think. I don't think I will ever have fewer than 2 cameras. But yeah, Mike, I gotta have a still camera. I definitely always have a still camera with me. Sometimes I grab, most of the time I have a cine camera near. The Super 8 Horror Fest is creeping up. This is a pun, isn't it? Russell, you missed it early on. I'll mention it again. It has been postponed. It is coming up, but it has been postponed. Everything is still the same. The time limit, the theme, everything that we have discussed, and I'm going to come out eventually and give all of the details in finer detail. But we're not ready yet. I've been super busy. There's a lot going on. My website is not ready, and I want to host all of the films. So the deadline of October 1st is going to be extended. I don't know what the new deadline is. As of right now, all I can say is the festival is being postponed. I'm just not 100% sure how far, but I will definitely keep everybody updated on it. And it's not going away. It's just being pushed. Do I storyboard, Jeffrey? I personally do not, but some of the films, digital, that I've done in the past were storyboarded. My filmmaking partner and best friend in the world, he's an extremely gifted artist with pens, pencils, he's super creative. He's a musician. He's just brilliant. But he's really good at storyboarding. He won't admit it, but he has storyboarded several of the movies that we've shot. So if I could draw, I would. I know there's some software you can use for that, but I have not. No. But yes, storyboards in our movies we have used. I'm storyboarding mine for this festival. Yes, it's very smart to do so. At the very least, you need a running shot list with, angles, camera angles, stuff like that, I think. I've been really inspired by John Ford films lately. See, Dustin, that's great. Everybody has somebody that they need to be inspired by. I enjoy Grainy Days is another great channel. Yes, hilarious and film oriented. Yeah, that is a fun channel. I forgot about them. I'll watch the street photographers talk about how they like to get through their blocks. I'll say just keep on shooting through and keeps walking and looking for shots. Manny, that's a good point. I almost brought that up. I have it on here somewhere. Street photography is that's another whole ball game. It's for some people, and don't get me wrong, I love looking at street photography and even street videography. It's not me. I can't get into street photography, and I'll tell you why. I think it's great. I don't know. I feel like I'm always violating somebody. I feel like I'm kind of an extroverted person, but in some ways I'm not. I do get a little anxiety. It's hard for me to stand in the middle of and just film people. I don't know. I just get. It's not for me to do, but I love it. Let me just put an asterisk by it. Bullet point storyboarding seems to be the easiest way to keep track of the shots. Minimal drawing. Do you storyboard, Dave? I know you've done a lot of projects. And bullet point stuff would be good. Yes, definitely. Still, I just caught your Cecil. I use stick people. Yeah, I could do simple stick people drawing. My daughter Katerina is getting pretty darn good at drawing, so I may have to employ her for some storyboarding for me. Jeffrey says, another project I started was to go out and photograph my town as it was a pan-view slide. Oh yeah, from the 1960s and 70s, framing them as they did in the past. That's brilliant. Matt Day did that. I talked about him earlier. I can't remember the name of his book, and I didn't get it, and I'm kicking myself for it because it sold out pretty quick. But it was a photo book, not a zine. It was an actual book, and it's based in his town. He lives in, and he makes this open, by the way, so I'm not revealing anything. He lives in Chillicothe, Ohio. I only know that because he's mentioned it many times. But he documented his, I'd say his town, but there's more to it than that. And the book is really, it's a very well laid out book. And again, I wish I had gotten it when he had it available. I didn't. But that's a great idea. I started doing that in my little town here. My little town isn't so little anymore, but if you're proud of the town you live in, then that's a great idea. Just document your town. I want to put out a little book eventually. It's something I've been starting to document a little bit, and since I am way more into cine film than I am still film, I thought about documenting still frames from cine film in a book. Mike. Oh boy, yeah, that's what my storyboards look like too. I'm a random guy when it comes to, what does that say? Oh, I think you mean planning. Yeah, planning is tough. Planning is tough. The more pre-production you do, the more successful that film will be. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. I think there is a different approach. Asking for the pick works for me, unless super impromptu. Yeah, now I've done a little bit of street photography, but you just have to be so, well, you have to be brave, for one. You got to be a little careful. And in most cases, if you're on public property, there's nothing illegal about it. It's just, for me personally, I just get too much anxiety when it comes to that. I think Travis, my buddy Travis, is much better at doing that than I am. Russell says, I've stored to the second for music videos. Yeah, to get the rhythm right. Yeah, that makes sense. I also cross the shots out with a pencil so I know I've never missed any. I've always overshoot to especially establishing shots. Nothing wrong with that, Russell. Overshoot, overshoot, overshoot. Yeah, I knew what you meant. Started doing a bit of street photography, but like you, Mike, I feel super self-conscious about it. Yeah, Nicholas, I think there's nothing wrong with it. Let me just clarify. I think it's beautiful in its own right. It's an art form, true street photography, because you catch people in just an array of situations. But there's just something about it to me, to shooting it, for me personally. Saw a great town video done on Super 8. It was so much fun to watch. Those are awesome. I think, I mean, if you're proud of your town, document it. I kind of hate games. There's nothing to film but flat stuff. Welcome to Florida, Mike. Yeah. Florida is known for its flatness. Not much better up here. Yeah. Wait, Nebraska. That's right. So you have some hills at least. We do. Well, I know you're talking, but we don't have hills here in Florida. We have nothing. I think our highest point is 300 feet. Jeffrey, I can't remember the video I saw, but it had people sitting down and watching family films. They talked about how this art form was overlooked as it really gives a nod. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And you can always film. I did a bunch of processing, or some processing, for a guy. He's not usually on the live streams. And he's not a commenter usually, but he always watches, and he's become a good back and forth. But I did some processing, and he does some really good, he shot some 50D, and I did it not long ago. Some really good family events, too, just like Radios is getting ready to do. But don't discount the art behind filming a family event. It's it's not like Uncle Bill, holding the camcorder or the phone. Do it the way you want to do it. Film a family event. If it's a birthday or it's a wedding or it's a, weddings, I mean, you can make it your own. You really can. And I find if you do it for friends and family and you don't charge them, there's never any expectation. So you do it the way you want to do it. I know that may sound odd. They go, oh, Tim, my time, my money, well, first of all, they're family and friends. I can't imagine you're going to do some stranger's wedding for free, or event, but make it your own. And no one's going to care if you present them with a product that you're proud of later that they didn't pay for, but they get this really cool, vintage vibe presentation that you did, and it's yours, and you're proud of it, and they likely will be too. I love shooting family stuff, and they're family, so they're probably used to you with a camera in your hands. Just a family event is a town event too. Town events can be fun. See, town events to me, we have something here. I live in Port Orange, but we have something here about twice a year where they set up a big carnival down the street, not far from me, and there's rides and there's people everywhere. That to me is a little different than regular street videography or street photography, because it's expected that you're going to be there with a camera. It's an event. It's a different, sort of a different vibe. It's like being at a baseball game or a race or a football game or something where there's cameras everywhere, so you can capture a variety of things, right? And it's typically accepted. It's understood that people will be somewhere where there's lots of people, but there will be lots of cameras and lots of things, and that to me is a good way to enter into a sort of pseudo street photography and be accepted for it. I spent time in Melbourne, Florida. Too humid for me. It's very humid, Mike. We were just down in Melbourne. We went down to the zoo. Spent the weekend down there in Melbourne not long ago. Melbourne's about an hour south of me. Oh yes, he's a World War II vet. He has my respect, that's for sure. I tell my kids to take many photos that take so many photos that you annoy people. You can never take it back. I wrote something down here. I didn't say anything. It's just a thing. That kind of a segue into this, Mike, and it makes so much sense. It's not that long ago that I was shooting Super 8 film in the 80s. Really, it wasn't that long ago. And here we are in 2023 now. I don't know when you're watching this, but we're now in 2000. We're now about 40 years away from when I started shooting Super 8 film. And my point behind that is, how much of it do you have to look back at? I can look back at shooting lots and lots of film because I shot lots and lots of film. And I'm shooting even more now than I did when all we had was film. Because, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm catching up, but I'm catching it. So I look back now and I say, it's been almost 40 years since I was really, really using Super 8 and 110 and 35 millimeter when I started, enjoying it. Well, that wasn't that long ago. So what have you done since then? And what do you plan to do before that next 40-year mark hits? You got to do something. You might as well put a camera in your hand and do it. I mean, we're never getting this time back. You have a designated amount of time to do as much as you possibly can. You're not getting it back. And it's gone like that. It's gone like that. I mean, my first kid, I know people, it's cliche, it's getting so big, it's just growing so. My first kid, I feel like I had her, you know, I feel like she's a year old, and a couple months she'll be 14. Anyway, I don't know. All I can say is you got to go out and film stuff. If you're a filmmaker, Kevin Smith, you guys know who Kevin Smith is. He was on Project Greenlight years and years ago, talking to Pete Jones. And Pete Jones says, "What advice do you have?" And Pete Jones was the winner of the first Project Greenlight. And Kevin Smith says to him, he says, Pete says, I've never done a feature film. I've never shot a lot. I've always been a dreamer. I've done whatever he said. I don't remember. Kevin Smith says to him, he goes, "You're a filmmaker. You're a filmmaker. That's all there is to it. You are. You have to just tell yourself that, because you are. It doesn't really matter what you've done. If you're a filmmaker, then that's what you are. So be it." I've never forgot that. I mean, and again, I'm not a fanboy. I like Kevin Smith. I got Clerks, you know, but it made so much sense then, and it still does now. Plenty of stories are recorded. Somewhere there's going to be a bridge. Oh, that's awesome, Radio. He definitely deserves it. So the party will be on 16. Awesome. Mike, I made sure when I video instilled every family event for the last 22 years. My mom passed away over a year ago. I'm sorry, it's scrolling. My mom passed away over a year ago. I can't tell you how much it helps her. Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your mom, Jeffrey. And you're absolutely right. You only have so many memories, and your memories will start to fade eventually, sadly. But your photos won't. I'm afraid my grandkids will be the last generation to. Yeah, you're probably right, Mike. Sadly. Get up and do it. Roger Deakins has a great stills photography book out called Byways. Pretty impressive stuff too. I like Roger Deakins, and I have not seen that book, but I might have to take a peek. Russell, thank you. I was just looking over some old footage. Love all the moments that were captured. Yeah, you can't get them back. You know, she's only going to be in 8th grade once, 2nd grade once. You know, you're only going to have Thanksgiving 2023 one time. You know, there's only firsts. That's all there is. There's not seconds, ever. You get one shot at everything. I'm like Eminem. But it's true. You only get one shot. Thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, hit the like button, peeps. It helps me. We are an hour and 13 minutes in, and this is about the time. I hate to wrap it up. Music, by the way, I wrote that down. I forgot to mention. We all know how instrumental, you see the pun, how instrumental music can play in creativity. I do a bit of writing, and headphones, music, put your favorite music on. That's definitely a sort of a energizer and a mind stimulator, and it gets your juices, creative juices flowing. Nothing wrong with listening to music while you're trying to be creative. I've covered everything that I can think of, which is very little compared to what there is to cover. Guys, I had so much fun today, but I do have to wrap it up. We will be back next Sunday because this is fun, a fun time. I'm dying to hear what their ideas are. By the way, if you're watching this after it's live, put in the description, what are your ideas about how to get back into the swing if you start floating away from your creative juices? I know, Mike, they go quick. It's a fun hangout. I really do enjoy hanging out with everybody. This is great. Good little crowd today too. Cecil, thank you for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Yes, I hope they get the parade on film. Yeah, I hope you do too. Great show, Mike. Great hanging out. Thank you, Manny. Thanks for coming in. Awesome stream. Thank you as always, Jeffrey. Thank you to all the people that are here regularly and all the people that are new to the stream. This is what we do. We just film chat. We have a loose topic, sort of get into the discussion a little bit, and then we have fun chatting. Take some coffee with my coffee mug tumbler combo. Dave, thank you for coming in. Nicholas, thank you, my friend. Radios, as always, thank you for your support and popping in. Steven, thank you, buddy. Russell, it's always a pleasure when you stop in. Jake, if you're still there, thank you, my friend. Awesome show. Mike, thank you. Barry, thank you. I know you're not. I know you're here somewhere, maybe. There's Rich. See ya. Thank you, everybody. I know I missed somebody, but thank you. Thank you, guys. I got to end it, and we will see you all. Here I was ending it. You know it. She had to pop in and say goodbye. That's Piper. What grade are you going into?
Second.
First.
No, second.
Kindergarten? Come here. All right, you ready to say goodbye? Thank you, everybody. Hey, Dustin, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for popping in. This is Piper. She likes to help me close out the stream, and we'll see them next Sunday, right? We're going to say hi and bye next Sunday, too? Do you want to do the thing? We don't usually do it. You want to do the... Okay, I'll see you on the very next go-around. Whoop! Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.